Knave.
Knave of Hearts! Did you write this?
Marvelous.
Wait here. Your father has a marvelous surprise for you.
Brindled.
On the breast of his torn surcoat, the brindled boar of Crakehall was half obscured by dried blood.
Feeble.
He had become old. Feeble, they thought.
Physical.
I see no evidence of physical injury.
Phobic.
About a third of all people are at least a bit phobic about snakes.
Velocity.
A bullet goes from the gun with a velocity of 3,000 feet a second.
Propel.
Extraordinary men propel us forward.
Surreptitious.
But I think they're leaving surreptitious, scented messages for potential mates.
Centipede.
I remember Centipede.
Rant.
I was called out to Cicely Ledbetter, which means having listened to her rant for an hour.
Reciprocate.
She helped you with your show. The right thing to do is reciprocate by going to see her play.
Disincline.
Martinet.
Our dean is an understanding counselor, not a martinet.
Cumulative.
Knowledge is cumulative, easy to share, and generates benefits that spill rapidly across borders.
Consolatory.
This idea, consolatory in theory, I felt would be terrible if realized.
Hallway.
Then why did Taub find rose petals in your entry hallway?
Dissipate. One more day and the smell would have dissipated.
Eminent.
They were famous, prominent, and eminent scientists.
Dim.
Maybe the sun's light will be dim, so it won't matter anyhow.
Indict.
I can indict you for obstructing justice.
Credibility.
So when politicians lose credibility, their popularity goes down too.
Gangster.
He was a killer, bank robber, and the most feared gangster in the U.S.
Pathological.
Johnson was pathological in his ability to lie.
Dossier.
We'll get you all of our dossiers with any intel we might have.
Flit.
And at night the firefly flits to and fro, shining like a tiny star.
Unattainable.
I'm sure you guys have had times in your life when a task just seemed unattainable.
Musky.
A musky perfume.
Fortuitous.
How fortuitous we were just talking about you. Glorify.
Yep, some people glorify the past, but not my dad.
Theorize.
Researchers theorize that this also causes a slowing of the aging process.
Chlorinate.
Chlorine is really good at killing any bacteria or viruses that might be floating around, which is why we also chlorinate swimming pools.
Slaveholder.
Taylor, as we have said, was a slaveholder.
Sublime.
The truth, as spoken by a little child, was sublime.
Skim.
Perhaps the Talbot's milk was not very well skimmed that afternoon.
Smatter.
Watermelon.
It's winter. There's no watermelon juice.
Python.
Indian pythons hang in trees and near the water.
Aesthetic.
It's these aesthetic qualities that have drawn so many artists to use water as a subject.
Graft.
You know, she's gonna need a skin graft, but she'll have a scar.
Marina.
His boat is still docked at the marina.
Cosmopolitan.
As a result, Oxford is a youthful cosmopolitan city.
Willow.
Even the weeping willows turned yellow that year.
Illicit.
Don't change the subject away from your dealing in illicit drugs. Inhospitable.
Today, Mars is an inhospitable desert.
Shrubbery.
Alongside the path, he planted shrubberies and trees to enhance the experience.
Variability.
This mechanical device induces a variability in the motion of one of the gears.
Elation.
When I set sail for home, I was full of elation.
Confuse.
Your surprise confuses me.
Precipitate.
General, the idea is to avoid panic, not precipitate it.
Pugilist.
The corpses all belong to pugilists, amateur or otherwise.
Slag.
This is from primitive steel. It has a good deal of slag in it.
Brash.
He was brash. He thought he knew everything.
Undisguised.
The Mormon looked at him with undisguised astonishment.
Ethnicity.
Well, African American refers to a person's ethnicity.
Sparkle.
Go brush your teeth, and I want them to sparkle.
Momentous.
Thank you guys for joining me on this momentous day.
Incise.
Cause of death attributed to acute blood loss from an incised wound to the neck.
Usher.
I ushered him into the library, and then I went upstairs.
Parallelism.
Parallelism is found in many famous sayings.
Recline.
Here's me lying on the bed. I am now reclined.
Gaudy.
You have no need of gold or gaudy jewels.
Clumsily.
Clumsily, she once again grabs hold of the steering wheel with both hands.
Tapestry.
Weaving a new tapestry will require a different pattern, and that will take decades.
Purpose.
What is the purpose of life?
Sarcasm.
That's sarcasm.
Using irony to convey contempt.
Musty.
Look at this room. It's ugly, old, and musty.
Privation.
He looked upon privation as no hardship.
Maximize.
The way to maximize freedom is to maximize choice.
Cogently.
A cogently argued and well-researched book.
Thoughtful.
Said Sirius, looking thoughtful.
Professional.
This is your professional advice, Doctor. Just denial.
Trial.
You're on trial for first-degree murder.
Alcove.
No surveillance in that alcove.
Speculative.
How do you know? Yeah, that's purely speculative.
Unheralded.
He came and went during these months, arriving unheralded and leaving without saying goodbye.
Interlock.
Are we supposed to interlock fingers or not?
Stance.
Each country has its own stance.
Protean.
He talks about the protean nature of its body.
Collapse.
If the building collapsed, everybody would be killed.
Weld.
4 mechanical arms welded right onto his body.
Glint.
I am the diamond glints of snow.
Protocol.
Protocol in a meeting is to put your phone on silent.
Implement.
We have to find solutions and implement them step by step.
Vain.
However, it is vain to cover up the history and facts.
Inkling.
I have an inkling of what happens next.
Fender.
The left front wheel and fender of the Google car were damaged.
Aristocracy.
He said they saw it as a war between the people and an aristocracy.
Appreciate.
I appreciate your honesty.
Leakage.
I thought there'd be some radiation leakage from over there.
Elaborately.
An elaborately decorated room.
Recollect.
I cannot recollect a clear dream of you.
Compose.
The body is composed largely of water.
Rekindle.
Miss Jade's fantasy is to rekindle the love she once had with Bob.
Astringent.
After I smelled formaldehyde and astringent.
Philanthropist.
Now, Bill Gates, who is far and away the world's leading philanthropist.
Yarn.
They used yarn to make clothes.
Elate.
First, I smiled to myself and felt elate.
Memorable.
I really want this weekend to be memorable for both of you.
Lave.
No sooner had she herself entered, laved herself in a washing tub, and shared supper with the family, than she fell into thought, and withdrawing to the table under the wall by the light of her own little lamp, wrote in a passionate mood.